to this memorial, this celebration, this honor and dedication. We place these markers in memory of pioneers whose courage is almost unfathomable to us today. They came so long ago with so many sacrifices to settle an entirely open country. We honor them, we're very proud of them, and we should be very humble in the light of what they have left to us. So I welcome all of you here today to a solemn family celebration in honor of people whose names may never go in the great history books, but whose work built our land. And all of you can celebrate that and honor that and push forward. So today, let's begin with the honor to the family of the Smith and Green and all of these related families here today. And thank you so much for coming.
Hello, I'm Joseph Arisco. I'm one of the many people that admire the historians who have come together and the families who have come together and are going to honor the people buried here in the Smith Cemetery. As a representative of Roselawn Memorial Park, please be welcomed today. And we would like to honor first Randy Gilbert, the chairman of our Smith County Historical Commission. Randy, please stand and be recognized. And we are likewise extremely honored to have our mayor of the city of Tyler take time from her busy Rose Festival weekend, and she told me this morning she was in the parade, and we made her schedule, so we are so glad to have our mayor, Barbara Bass, speak to us today.
It is great to be here today. Anytime we preserve history, it should remind us of our roots and where we came from. Because without knowing where we come from, and without having a direction where we're going, as we've all known and all heard, any road will get us there. So it is very important that we recognize what the people whose families are here today, what they meant to our community, what they meant to our county, and what they meant to our city. It was all of the pioneers who worked and made Smith County and Tyler what it is, and we appreciate the families for protecting these graves, of restoring the cemetery, and of being part of our community as we have this recognition with this historical plaque. Thank you.
Your program says that I'm Betty Beatty. It further identifies me as a descendant. My name is right, but I'm not a descendant. The closest I come to it is being married to a descendant. I wish I was a descendant. I'd be very proud to be one. But I've spent enough time researching the graves that are out here and also caring for the cemetery that I feel like I know these people as personal friends and part of family. There's an old saying that goes, no one is truly gone until they are forgotten. If that be true, then the people of Smith Cemetery are not gone, because our gathering here today proves that we are remembering them and that they will never be forgotten. A history of Smith Cemetery is going to have to start with Mary Long, because it's her land that we occupy today. I'd like to tell you a little bit about Mary Long. You'll see her name on her tombstone is Polly. And for a long time, I thought I was researching two different people, and then I found out that that's just a nickname. While Cherokee Indians were still roaming this land, and many decades before the Civil War started, before Texas even became a state, Mary Long came to Texas. She'd been a widow for almost a decade. She still had minor children living at home with her, and she had a few married children. And they all, except one son, packed up and came to Texas together. When she came, she had to fulfill a requirement by the Republic of Texas, and that was to prove herself a good citizen and to occupy the land here for at least 3 years. And she did that, and at that time, she was granted over 1,000 acres by the Republic of Texas. So by 1841 or 42, she was already a large landholder. And she'd not done that on her own. She came from good stock. When she came to Texas, she had memories of a husband who had served with Andrew Jackson at the Battle of New Orleans. And she had a grandfather who had been a representative to the U.S. Congress and who had fought in the Revolutionary War. But she didn't rest on those laurels. She herself became a notable landholder, and she saw to it that her children and her grandchildren after her carried on that legacy of civil service and of being good citizens of this new state. I could give you a lot more dates and information about what happened to Mary Long and the other people who are buried here, how they came to Texas and so forth, but I thought you might be interested in just a few more personal items about who's buried here. For example, Mary Long's oldest son, James Dixon Long, was a personal friend of Chief Bowles, the Cherokee chief that you read about in your history books. He was one of the people who had to go to Larissa and to help bury the people who were killed in the massacre there. His descendants are sitting among you today. Mary wasn't the only person who's buried here who came to Texas without her spouse. William Green came from Tennessee with his 4 children under the age of 12. He had just buried his wife in Tennessee before he came. Also, there were other people. Elizabeth Ashcraft left her husband's grave in Alabama when she brought her family here. Others that came as couples here. The Shackelfords came together. They didn't have to leave anybody behind. They came with a lot of their married children. Matthew and Morning Wood came with almost their entire family, married children intact there. And if you look at the census records of Smith County at that particular time, you'll see the names of these people, and they all lived near each other. Some of them even knew each other before they came here. They were friends and neighbors back in the states from which they came. It was kind of like the whole neighborhood got together and said, let's go to Texas, there's land there. And so they were friends and neighbors before they came, and they remained such after.